will show you where you come from. Come from. I will show you where you gon' go, where you come from. I will show you where you gon' go.
My name is Ellis Gooden. I work as an applied scientist intern at Amazon. So I grew up in Reading. My dad's side of the family are Jamaican, and my mum's side of the family are English as well. So I grew up in a mixed race household. I think to me, Black History isn't just a month because there are so many different influences that filter down to every single Black person, whether that's your family, whether that's your friends, whether that's the music that you listen to, whether that's the television shows which you watch, the films that you enjoy.
My name is Tochim Idupata. Everyone calls me Touch. I am originally from Nigeria. My tribe is Igbo. I lived in Nigeria. Well, I was born in Lagos and I lived in Nigeria until I was about 12. And then my family moved to the UK. Post that, so obviously went to Manchester, then joined Amazon. Been at Amazon for almost 11 years. Time flies. I lead a team across Europe. They're responsible for growing like some of the biggest consumables brands on Amazon.
This is my auntie Claire, and this is my cousin Jordan. When we were growing up, we were like pretty much brothers. Like the first phone number I ever memorized in my head, the first landline number was my grandma's, and that was because Jordan lived with my grandma at the time. My grandma is the person who moved from Jamaica to the UK. If any of you met her, you'd like love her. I think you'd think that she's a hilarious person. She's a character in so many ways because she's so unapologetically herself. She lives her life exactly the way that she wants to as well, and I think that a lot of that is that Jamaican influence on her, and she has had a big influence on my life, whether that's directly on me or through my dad. Given how important my dad should always express to me that education was, because I'd always wanted to go to university, really put my all into school, took it very seriously, revised as much as I could. I did a master's in data science and machine learning at UCL. In between my second year and my final year of university, I did a placement year. And in that period of time, I lived with my aunties in Lewisham, which was amazing. I'm so thankful for them to having me, but I loved Lewisham. I found there was the most supportive and friendly and happy culture of people. There are a lot of Caribbean people and Black people in general in the Lewisham area. Yeah, it was so nice to speak to people often, to have lots of delicious Caribbean food. To give you an example of what I liked so much about it, the sense of community that I felt when I was there, I went to the barber's, got a trim, and then on my 10-minute walk home after getting my haircut, I had 3 different people, different Black people come up to me and say how much they loved my hair, how it looked so good, and that as well. And yeah, I feel like that within the Black community was very important to me because it was an area where I didn't know anyone. Community is such a big part, I feel like, of the experience of being a Black person, having that community and that friendship, a place where you can laugh and have jokes with people who are similar to you as well. So Black people will go into the barbershop, and then if there's something going on in their life, if they've had any sort of problem recently, then they'll share it with their barber if they're going through anything. I'm telling you now that apart from a Black person's partner, the person who knows the most about them in their life and the problems that are going on is their barber for sure. It's where you feel comfortable. Also, you get, because when you're sat in the chair or if you're sat waiting, the people who are also waiting to get their haircut or currently getting their trim as well are giving you advice and guidance, and everyone's there to sort of support each other. And at the same time, it's where you can have the wildest conversations as well about things that have gone on in life. It feels like it's like the hub of the Black community.
Perfect, love it.
Manchester Uni was amazing. My dad and my stepmom at that time, they dropped me off and they were like, almost like, are you going to be okay? Should we stay? And so on. I was like, go home, go. And everyone that's gone to Manchester knows, like, with Freshers Week, I was that girl. I went out every night. It's like I had something to give to the world. In Manchester, I found that I got to build a more diverse pool of friendships, especially because growing up in Haverhill, so I didn't get a chance to like hang out with Black people and have Black friends or friends from just other different cultures and races. So it was really good to then being able to like, you know, get to meet and make friendships with people that are a lot more similar to you. As I mentioned, you could talk about hair, you could talk about more commonalities. So that was really nice. And just being able to just see other people that look like you, share the same challenges, experiences, and so on that you do as well. So my mom was always really fashionable and always had the latest Nigerian outfits, jewelry, everything. She definitely loved dressing us up. Hey, Nigerians love to celebrate, and if you've ever been to any of the events or try a wedding, it's like a fashion show. Like, you show up and you show out. Like, you cannot disappoint. It's not just about you, it's about everyone. I find myself interested in other people's stories, which is fascinating to me when it's like when someone tells me, oh, they're from here, I'm like, oh, what happened? Where have you been? Like, where'd you come from? What is it like? Because I'm just so interested, or at least moved by people's stories and where they've come from and what has gotten them there. And when you dig into most of it, most people are just trying to do the best they can in life. If I think of my culture, for example, like we have amazing food. I mean, Ghanaians are going through a lot because they do not understand what Nigerians are really dishing out when it comes to like J-rice. Like just the range of food. If you just start with food, for example.
But I love it pie so much. It's my weakness.
You have things like yam, you have things like this year with like my Igbo sisters would know as I'm listing these out. You have the music, Wizkid, Burna Boy, Rema, everyone goes and visits everyone. There's a massive culture of like just openness, welcoming people. They're just really good memories of just celebrating everything. We celebrate literally everything. So like really positive memories. My dad taught me how to play chess, play Monopoly, we'd play Scrabble. So it's just like board games. Some of the best memories would all lay down outside because it's always really hot. So you look up, you see the stars, and our parents would just tell us random stories. It was really beautiful.
There's the Jamaican phrase, which I think is like quite well known, at least we little but we talawa, which is basically like we're small, but we are mighty. We have like a strong influence, and I think that you see that in a lot of things in the world as well, and that's I think what has definitely had an impact on me. What you get at Notting Hill Carnival is you get a lot of the great things about it all in one place at one time. You get the happiness, you get people dancing, having a good time, being around friends, you get to experience the incredible music. So growing up, my dad has always loved music. It's always been a big part of his life. And he has actually a big record collection at home where he'd be always putting out records and playing them around the house and stuff as well, especially like some Jill Scott in particular, some Buju Banton, Jay-Z, like all sorts of different genres actually as well. Michael Jackson, which I'm sure you can imagine was a big part of the music that he loved. And what he used to do when he was driving me and my sister in the car, because we didn't like Jill Scott at that time, we were too young for it really, like it was too slow, too boring. So what he'd do when we were driving along and we had our like moody faces on because he was playing the same album again, was he'd just like wiggle the steering wheel just a little bit, just so we like shook along the way, and then I could see it look in the internal mirror in the car and say to me and my sister, I can see that you like this song, I can see that you're dancing to it, whilst he was wiggling us in the car, which just made us even more angry. But now like thinking back on it, now it's just him just being silly and funny, which he could be at times. So yeah, this is my grandma, Etta. I don't think it's been an easy life for her. She came over during like Windrush generation. I'm sure that and I know that she's experienced a lot of like negative things happening to her in her life, but she's such a happy person. She always wants the best in everyone. In 2020, everyone knows that was a big year for everyone, a very impactful year for everyone, but for me in particular, that was the year of my life where I feel like I've had the most change and I've gone through the most at that period of time. Because a week after the UK went into lockdown, I got a call from my parents, a FaceTime, and they let me know at that point that my dad had been diagnosed with bowel cancer. Really difficult at the time because, as you know, when we were in lockdown and when COVID first started, you were advised not to leave your house, not to go anywhere. So the moment I found out that my dad had been diagnosed with cancer, I couldn't go and see him for the next 3 months after his diagnosis. That period of time, there was a lot of self-reflection. I realised in a way that anything can be almost taken away from you or impacted with a snap of fingers. Finding out about my dad, thankfully he's healthy now. So that was what drove me to make the change into the job that I'm in now at Amazon.
Most of my friends now are actually people from Amazon that I've worked with for years. Some of them have left and so on, but like the ability to build those close bonds and friendships has been invaluable to me. It's interesting when you get older and you look back at your parents' life and then you try and figure out how in the world they did it. But my mom, she was a nurse, but she specialized in like public health. And so when we're young, she used to travel a bit. She would go to like Chad, Benin Republic, and she'd go there and work with women in rural villages around like family planning. And then she'd moved here first to study. And so when I look back and I think of her ability to almost balance family and work and all the passions and everything so seamlessly. And then, I'm gonna try not to cry. And then when she was diagnosed with cancer, like just seeing her fight through it for like 5 years and just the grit and the perseverance and the positive energy, I mean, these days, something as small as, I don't know, you hit your toe on something, it feels like the whole day's ruined. But to go through something like that and have that hope for just such a long period of time and still being able to just celebrate the birthdays and is crazy. The last 6 to 9 months before she passed away, because the reason we'd moved over was because she was in a PhD here and the doctor told us that she had like literally a few months. And so we didn't actually move. We came to be with her for the last little bit, if that makes sense. So I'd spent every day with her for that full 9 months because she ended up living a lot longer than they thought. And every day she would literally pick a topic about life and then just discuss it, because it's a really weird state when you know you're at the point when you're going to pass, when you realize you've got young kids and you're just trying to teach them so much. But it was just really, it was just and I guess an emotional time, because when I look back, I drew on a lot of the things she was talking about across the spectrum. The things you're going to face in terms of relationships and dating, the things you're going to face in terms of career, all the challenges you're going to face as a Black woman and so on. And we literally discuss these topics every day, because I guess in her mind, it was like, I'm not going to be there, so I'd rather tell you to stand down. And I just thought it was inspiring that she had the strength to do that. And knowing, obviously, everything going on.
Black history and black people, there's so many different influences which all come into the experience of who they are today, and that's why you find so much diversity as well in black people for that reason, because everybody's had different experiences as well, even if they've grown up in the same place.
All the different aspects of black history, there's the positivities, the message of hope. It's super important to get across.
So you said you like my office?
Yeah, because when you go there, there are loads of like entrepreneurs, like if you actually sit down
Yeah, true. In like the...
What we're doing here today is really important, showcasing all the different aspects of black history. There's not just doom and gloom, but the progress, the culture, the vibrance, I think is super important to get across.
I'm proud of how I've represented the black community. What I'd want people to know going forwards is that there's a range of diversity of people within that community.
In the future, I hope we get to a world where we don't need to celebrate Black History Month. It's just an everyday thing, because that is who we are anyway, and we don't have to have a dedicated month to remind the world that we need to focus on Black history because we inherently do it, and it's just in our everyday life, in our ways of functional living, and they're able to walk into a room and they feel like they belong. That would be my hope.
Black history is not just a month.
Black history is me.
Tell me where you come from, I will show you where you gon' go. Oh, where you come from, I will show you where you gon' go. Everyone got a story to tell. Can we just celebrate, celebrate, celebrate all of the stories we tell? I just want to celebrate all of this melanin, that's why I needed to yell. Every story lives